everyone. I am so excited to welcome you back to our third episode of the 50 Shades Within Our Life show. Every month, as you know, I will interview someone that has achieved greatness in many different aspects of sustainability. Today, I'm very excited and grateful to welcome Sue Williams, the General Manager of Whately Manor in the UK. Sue is an experienced general manager with a demonstrated history of working in the hospitality industry. Skilled in catering, food and beverage operations, and hotel management, Sue has focused on transitioning her hotel to net zero emissions. Welcome, Sue, to the 50 Shades Within Our Life show.
Good morning, Raquel. Good morning.
How is the weather today in the UK? It's a lovely, bright, sunny day here in Ireland.
Oh, no, you've got all the sunshine. We've got the grey and mizzling.
Sorry about that. It's normally the opposite. So, before we start the show, I just want to make sure this is the best experience for our viewers. We're currently streaming live on YouTube and LinkedIn. So please, everyone, feel free to introduce yourselves on the comment box. Let us know who you are and where in the world you are today. So how does everything work? This is an open conversation. We want you to have the opportunity to ask Sue or myself any questions you have about Luxsustainability, the topic of the show. And then towards the end, we will be sharing with you a freebie to help make your own green journey easy with the best team possible, as well as giving you access to our latest blogs. So we're going to kick off with a super fast round of 5 questions. Just answer the first thing that comes into your head. No pressure. So, favorite animal?
It has to be the one I share my house with. That's my dog, my chocolate Labrador. Resonate with them a lot.
Yeah. Favorite book?
Favorite book? Well, goodness me, at the moment, I suppose it's it's all on about sustainability. I've just read so many, so I can't just say, across the board.
Sustainability books, anyways.
It's true. Well, it's interesting, and you're learning. It's
Exactly. It's not just reading for pleasure in that sense. Very good. Beach holiday or city break?
Beach holiday right now. That's what I'm in need of.
I'm the same. Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
I'm the same. Coffee. Right or left?
Oh, right.
Very good. That's it. Pressure is over. So they were great answers, Sue. But now, just as a quick reminder to the viewers to please add any comments on the box for questions. We will leave all the questions for the end of the show because I have some questions of my own for Sue now, just so that we can get to know a little bit more about what Sue has done and her green journey. So how did it all start, Sue? How did you start your green journey?
Well, we can really pinpoint it back to February 2019. And it was a conversation with the lovely family that own Whately Manor. They've only ever given me sort of one word to run this business by, and it is respect. And we sort of speak of respecting each other and our guests and the building and, of course, the environment. And it just started to sort of roll from there. Our owner, or the son, Christian, he was introduced to an initiative called itmustbenow.com, Now Sustainability. And so I sort of connected with them and well, they had a lot of knowledge, a lot to share, lots of insights, lots of useful tools. And so we began.
Amazing. I love that, the word respect, and we often forget that respect and sustainability are really interrelated, I feel, because like you say, it's respect for the planet, it's respect for all living species, I guess, in the planet. I love that answer, Sue. And I actually particularly love that it was the owners of the hotel as well that had that emphasis, because you're going from top down, obviously. So
I feel very lucky, because it's to go on this journey or to try and transition a business, you really need all stakeholders involved. So very lucky.
Yeah. And so, because this is a question I get asked a lot of the time, we work with other 5-star hotels and sometimes they feel that, sustainability can't be luxury. What was your strategy to make a hotel sustainable, but it still include that luxury?
One, to reassure anybody who's listening in, it's absolutely doable. And really, I think it's when you start the journey and you really start to understand that the greater part really of your time, energy, resource needs to go into the things that actually are behind the scenes. So the wastewater, energy, and supply chain, which of course your guests don't touch anyway. So that's a huge chunk of it. And then all things sort of front of house. Well, we're a very creative bunch in hospitality, and it's nice to be able to sort of apply this to this subject. But also there's just a huge amount of innovation and just innovation. There's new products out there coming left, right and centre that actually enhance what you're offering your guests. I haven't found a single step of this is regressive, and only positive.
That's amazing, because I think that's a fear sometimes for that 5-star luxury market, is that you don't want to compromise the guest experience, which I completely understand. But like you say, it's about being a bit creative, isn't it? And a lot of sustainability, as you say, goes behind the scenes. It's not like the guests are going to see what's happening there. So yeah, good.
Exactly right.
Do you feel, like, kind of leads me into the next question, do you feel that you had to compromise in any way the sustainability goals with the luxury market? Do you have to make any compromises?
Not in our case, not at all. And I'm sure this is going to be, the scenario for just about everybody. And there are lots of fantastic examples sort of here in the UK, the Langham Group. So, an absolutely stunning hotel in central London is very much on its sustainability journey. And in fact, they also work with a body called EarthCheck, and they're EarthCheck Platinum. I mean, we're on baby steps, we're on our way, but they're already achieved Platinum. So, you would walk in there and there isn't anything about that business that is anything other than 5-star Luxe. But it's absolutely, it is achievable. I don't see the compromises at all.
Okay, but that's great.
We reduced, I think, again, it's the benefits. I think along with COVID, we had to sort of stop and reflect. And custom and practice, a lot of things had perhaps got established in the world of our world, and they were just simply unnecessary. They were sort of gratuitous waste, and again, not a benefit to anybody, just just a waste. So we've been able to sort of pull back quite a few things, which again have been cost saving, but again don't touch the guest experience. So it really is a win-win for any business.
Brilliant. So what would be your main piece of advice for other hospitality businesses adopting more sustainable practices? Like, what would be your first, 3 steps or something that they can kind of follow through? Or
don't hesitate, get going. I mean, not least if we should be doing it because the planet demands it, but also we're now in this time of economic, crisis and pinch. And when you go on this journey, there are huge savings to be made as well. Eventually at some point, there's likely to be some capital expenditure, I would understand, around energy or something like this. But we've saved huge amounts of money through just things like management of waste and that sort of thing. But if you ask the absolute sort of top thing I would say to anybody embarking is we're all going to go on this journey, on a very similar journey. There is a structure really and a process that every business has to follow and go through. So, and I would say you can't really do it on your own, because I think this is the key thing that a lot of people miss, is they really need to get an accreditation for their work. So there's a lot of people out there doing good work, and that's absolutely great. It's a real benefit to the planet. But as a business, you need to have that sort of external accreditation that says, no, you guys are following a really rigorous sort of process, measurements and the old wonderful adage, if you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So you really need to be able to evidence that. And so you need to find a partner that has got this sort of framework, that has got a sort of a scientific sort of background, and commit, early on, because once you do, and I could throw 2 or 3 out there, but it is, we work with EarthCheck, and that is considered to be the #1 scientific accreditation body for travel and tourism. So, and that has been verified time and again. That's just not a bold statement. That is true. But there's also Green Key and Green Globe, and so it rolls. There are many of them, and I do feel for people starting their journey now, because there's so much noise around the subject. It's like, oh, which way do I turn? Honestly, those 3 are really robust and verified as being bona fide outfits to work with, if you like, accreditation bodies to work with, as identified by Google, and that's a very significant bit of all of this. So pick a partner, engage, and start to do a deep dive. Get that, because you just can't go it alone. That would be my absolute sort of number one top tip. And the second one is really to start working on the culture within your hotel, the messaging, the kind of continuous messaging to the team. I know I would say a green team is perhaps too obvious, but we've got our sustainable ambassadors team, and we get together and also use a piece of software. It's a free bit of software, but I do recommend it, and it's called Trello. And that's just because it's a project board. You need to treat it as a project, and that gives you a real focus for all by department. You can set it up by department, and you can set different projects, and people can communicate, and things they found, and things they're researching, and the progress they've made, all on this one board. So definitely having your sustainable ambassadors identified, and I would say they are your head of departments. I have to say, when we started, we just had some eager beavers, if you like, and bless them, that's great. But to get the message and the culture through the business, you really need to have all your seniors truly engaged and participative.
Yeah, I think that's so important as well. What you say is, it's, make the decision and just engage, dedicate time, and that's really all that sustainability, in my view, takes. Because, like you say, there is a huge range of companies now that can help you on that journey. So really all you need is to be willing to put in that time of your own, and also time for your teams to do it. Because again, one problem that we come across with a lot of our students would be that, maybe a green team is created, but then they're not actually allowed the time that they need during their working hours to complete all those green tasks. And I think, that's the important piece of a general manager like yourself being so motivated and so passionate about the subject. Is the only way that you're going to really, spread that culture across the entire organization.
General managers need to know they've got to own it. They can't really abdicate themselves from this, or you won't get traction. And certainly in the first sort of 2-3 years, at least, when it really gets momentum. That said, you're right, time is what is needed. And it just arrives at a time when hospitality is challenged in so many other ways, with people, obviously human resource, we're all short, I think, almost without exception around. And so you've really got to fight for this subject, or it could lose traction. But it's the only thing. I think people don't understand that it's the forerun of everything, because, unless we have a healthy planet on which to operate, well, all operations go by the by. And I get that's hard in the real time, sort of happening here and now kind of thing. But that's the absolute reality of it.
It is. And like you said, the industry is going obviously through a huge amount of issues at the moment. But I think we're always going to be going through some sort of a problem. That's life. There is ups and downs in every industry. And I guess, if we never start, we will never get anywhere. So yeah, it's as important time as any to get it started. Plus, I am a firm believer that also sustainability and embedding sustainability into an organization can be a great pool to attract talent. Because the younger generations that are now coming into the workforce, they've a completely different mindset that people of my generation have had. And I've already read a lot of reports about green businesses having a better pool of talent to pick from, because the young generations want to work in sustainable organizations. Have you found that to be the case for yourselves?
Yeah, really we have. And especially because there are so many vacancies, a candidate might have 3 or 4 job offers. And how do you stand out and differentiate yourself? And at the moment, this is a point of difference, absolutely, for us. And we absolutely have that conversation at interview. If they're a successful candidate, it's induction, and I contribute to that. I do an hour and a half in induction on day one. And we've written it into all our HR policies and things like that. And so it rolls, it's all the way through the business. But it definitely does give you a competitive edge to recruit right now.
Yeah. I love that, the way that you actually get involved yourself on that induction process and talk to them about sustainability. That's just amazing.
It lights my eyes, how important it is to us. Yeah.
That is amazing. And I guess what I hear as well is that you're just like, you didn't just like appoint a sustainability officer and a team. You're embedding sustainability in every single department, even HR, which, you know, up until now wouldn't really have been spoken about so much. So you really have embedded it at all levels of the business.
Oh yes, the accounts office now completely paperless. Lots of great systems there. Just looking at all those elements, you know, of banking and insurance, and it's obviously it's something. I think when you start, you really don't comprehend how deep it has to go down through your business. And when you start working with one of these initiatives, be it EarthCheck or Green Key, you'll start to understand that it isn't just about these front end things. It's really about everything in property, on property, and in the community. So you've really got to see this as a, you know, in the round. It's how you kind of like weave it through absolutely everything that you do.
Brilliant. I think you've answered my last question already, which was how important is it to involve your team in the green journey?
Sorry, did I jump the gun? Yeah, it is important, really important. And because you know, especially when it comes to things like waste and segregation of waste, you know, that's every department. You've really got to initially have eyes in the back of your head and be obviously checking, but you've also got to chat to them and find out what the barriers are, if there's a reason why they're not doing it. And it will be as simple as you haven't got enough bins, or they're not well enough signed, or space, or something like this. So you try and sort of work through these things, so it just becomes that's dead easy then, you know, starts to sort of gather momentum. And here, this is a top tip. We did away with black plastic bags. Absolutely, one of the first things we did, and we moved to clear plastic bags. And they are a couple of pence more expensive, but it just don't consider that. Don't let it be a barrier, because you can immediately see the waste. You know, you can go to the well, we don't have a bin area. Ours is a recycling centre, so that's what we've got. And you can just hold up the bag and you can see the gold culprits if things are slipping and not quite right. And you can see straight away it's housekeeping or it's the bar or what have you. So you have another conversation, another little training session, and you kind of keep driving the point. But if it's in black bags, also black plastic cannot be recycled. So yeah, you're working in the blind, as it were.
Yeah, I love that. I sometimes, when we're working with people and I say to them, you have to watch your bins, unfortunately, it's probably the less glamorous part of a business green journey. But like, if you don't know what you're putting in the bin, you can never take steps to reduce it.
But it's also something to be quite proud of. So changing it from a bin area, which typically is rather smelly and horrible and dirty, we put a sign up and called it our recycling centre, and it is ours, not just one person's. We all have to own it. And when we started, we used to have 14 1,100 litre general waste bins, and now we're down to 4.
Wow.
You know, and we're segregating out, and we're putting the cardboard. So we now have 4 general waste and 4 dry mixed recycling. But therein, there's cost savings, and we are directing the materials that can be recouped and recycled, and sending them on their way to go back into, you know, the supply or the resource chain.
That's amazing. I love that.
And we took the fence down so that the guests, if they walk past, can see it, because we're proud of it now. I didn't want it to be this hidey hole where people were just shoved and you know, mess built up. So now we're really quite proud of it, and I'm quite happy for guests to walk past and they can see our recycling and and it's all part of our story. It's how we roll.
That's amazing, because I've, you know, in all my travels, I've actually never seen a hotel that would display their waste stations proudly, you know.
Well, they can walk past it. It's not like up front central, but it is in the edge of our garden, and they will walk past it to get to the greenhouse. Yeah. So yeah, they will.
But I guess that gives you as well the fact you have to keep that tidy, you have to keep it organized, because it's not hiding at the back, as you say. I think that's amazing. That's wow. I don't think I'd be proud.
Yes, but you might be.
That was fantastic. So really many interesting insights. It's actually great to really get to understand how sustainability works in practice from someone that has done it. And I hope that we can inspire other people to get started on their journey. So we'll take some questions from the audience. Let me just see. So here we have, what's the most positive feedback you have received from customers in terms of your sustainability initiatives? And have you ever received any negative feedback? Great question.
Yeah, very good question. Thank you. I tell you, I have, because I'm out front and obviously very operational. so many conversations every week on the subject of sustainability, and they are all positive. People saying things like, we commend you for what you're doing, and things like that. And I was in the dining room and I was pouring water on Saturday night, and the guests said, I really like that bottle. And we've got, they really like giant milk bottles, but we've put an image of Whately Manor onto it, and they can be the word, sanitized and reused and reused and reused. And so, you know, we just removed, and I wished I was better at quantifying how many, literally pretty much tons of glass we removed from the business. And it's less labor heavy, you know, and all that sort of thing, but they're really quite cute. And they were asking, could they buy one? You know, so it's, you know, it's that sort of thing. Oh, yeah, I don't know if you really see it, but there you are.
I love it. I love that old style milk bottle.
Yes. And I borrowed that with pride because His Royal Highness Prince Charles has an estate close by, and they have a milk station where he sells his organic milk. And that's where we sort of saw these bottles and thought, borrow that idea with pride and make it very Whately. And yeah, you can sell these items. So, you know, it's just positive. The guests love it. One thing that I probably get the most comments on is that because we have removed all single-use plastics from the guest bedrooms. And the amenities. So we used to have, like everybody, the 50 ml plastic bottles. I'll shout out as a positive for one of our suppliers, Molten Brown. And I said to them, gosh, love your product, but we've got to get away from this plastic. They said, we're a big company. We can't move that quickly. And I said, oh, could we agree 3 months? And they did it. They absolutely did it. And they came back with some really beautiful little ceramic jars. And they're 100 ml, and they're pretty. People love them. They don't get broken. They don't get stolen. I did think that might be a case, but they don't. And they just love them. And that took 26,000 50 ml bottles out of our waste, an annual figure. Yeah,
I know. So, that's probably one of the biggest barriers for 5-star hotels that we work with in Ireland in particular, that they're saying, oh, but, you know, our guests expect the mini toiletries. And, you know, I always say to them, why don't you do a trial? You know, change to a refillable bottle or a different type of bottle in 10 rooms and just see what kind of feedback you're getting from it. Because, you know, sometimes the guests can help you make those difficult decisions, you know, trial it out and ask for their opinion, I guess. I'm so glad you don't have many toiletries. I absolutely hate them. I hate them with a passion. And it actually, as a guest, it does upset me when I go into a hotel and there's mini toiletries there, you know, and I think, you know, there's more and more people like me now that would become upsetting a lot more than those that would be upset if they weren't there, you know.
Yeah.
Amazing.
No, it's only positive. There isn't a single negative. It doesn't feel austere. It doesn't feel like we've pared back. It's just, I mean, we don't have newspapers and magazines in the hotel anymore. And I know that was a very much a typical thing. But of course, we'd done this before COVID. So basically, we moved away, and we now have we pay for access to a QR code, which gives us 60 top glossy titles and all the newspapers in the world. And we just encourage the guests to scan that. And so while they're with us, they have access to all of those, obviously for no charge. And that just removed, you know, mountains. I can't do it. It's great. Mountains and mountains of heavy magazines, which would have been pretty much destined for waste. And then because our bedrooms were rather stripped down through COVID because of touch points and things like that. But when we came out of that, we just decided to put one magazine back in, and we put what was sort of really, we felt on message, and we put the National Geographic magazine in.
Brilliant.
Equal of interest to ladies and gents, and sort of obviously all about planet and things like that. So, and you just see them wandering around with that and enjoying that, but never a moment. I thought there might be a bit of a kickback with a QR code versus, you know, the Sunday newspapers. Probably once or twice per month, somebody might ask for a hard copy, and I bring it in on the way to work.
That's amazing, Sue. Yeah, it's unbelievable once we start, you know, when you can, there is so many things that you can do once you start seeing the issues, I guess, but you have to get started on the journey to see those issues. And I found again the glass bottles super interesting, because I guess as you know, as employees of the industry, we're always thinking, you know, glass is okay because it can be fully recyclable. So I can, you know, produce as much glass waste as I want because it'll be recycled. But the key message here is no, it's about waste reduction. It's not about increasing our recycling rates, because
reducing the amount of lorry journeys to you. This is the thing,
exactly,
isn't it?
and glass
As much as you can.
Glass is high on carbon emissions because it actually it produces a lot of carbon emissions to be produced in the first place, and then it's all the transportation from A to B. So yeah, by reducing your glass bottles, you really are taking a really good initiative. And it's not things that people think about, because again, we think it's recycled, and because it's recycled, it's okay.
One thing when it came to me on glass, it became time that we had to replace the sand in our backwash equipment for the pool. Okay. So it's just sand is the usual medium, and it has a life, if you like, and eventually you have to kind of replace it. Well, now on the market is glass, and I wish I have got it here, but I don't think for a second it would hold on. I don't think this is going to begin to show on this screen, but it is a medium that is. I'm going to see. Can that?
Yeah.
Wow. It's glass. Can you just start see that?
Broken pieces of glass.
That's it. So that now is inside our backwash equipment, and does the job of sand. You know, it's and it's using a recycled material. It's not taking sort of the natural capita of sand, and there we go. So there's so many things, and of course, it's not all going to happen just immediately for everybody. But when and as these things need replacing, just do not let anybody buy anything without having a quick once past you, or because we still occasionally walk into that. Somebody says, "I just need this," and I kind of get, and I'm sort of almost ready to. I'm going, have you asked the question? Where's it coming from? What's its provenance? What's the background to that? And we're really good at that now, I have to say. We're sort of pretty much all over that, hence why we've got things like that in our spa.
But another thing I really picked up from your last answer as well was about Molton Brown, your supplier of your mini toiletries. That sometimes I feel myself as a hotel manager, it's like we don't want to push sustainability into our suppliers, but why not? And there is your example to say, look, guys, I know you can do this for tomorrow, but give me a timeline,
Yes.
And I think that's what we all need to start doing, because that puts a bit of pressure on that supply chain as well.
Yeah. As it happens, Molton Brown were really already the good guys. They were doing a lot of work on their product behind the scenes, and so that's positive. But just like we as hoteliers, if we don't go on this journey, we're going to become irrelevant. I hate to say it, we are going to be lost in the marketplace, and we're going to be financially challenged even further with higher taxes, climate change taxes and levies. You have to go on this journey, and you should, hopefully want to go on this journey, but you have to go on this journey. And that's exactly the same for your suppliers. They know, we held a supplier day and got, in this instance, all our food and beverage suppliers together to say, this is the journey we've been on so far. This is our sort of ongoing challenge, and supply chain is obviously our biggie. And just to understand what there was in their world, what sort of accreditation programs that there were, who'd done what, who had the biggest challenges, what challenges were they, all that sort of thing. And it was a really productive day. And that all bar two of them turned up was a real big message to me, that they want to, they know it's hard, but they want to engage and they want to collaborate. I said it's all about collaboration, because one of them said to me, "How long before you chuck us out, Sue?" And I said, it's about collaboration. It's tough. Come on, let's work on this together. But it's true to say, if I come up against a supplier who's not even prepared to have a dialogue about it, then it is likely I will be moving along and away, because we're determined to achieve our goals.
Yeah, and they're the kind of tough decisions that sometimes need to be made, but you are giving them all every opportunity, I guess, to do something themselves so they can continue being your supplier. So I love your story. I think I could talk to you all day. Just as a reminder for the audience, we're going to wrap it up in the next few minutes. So if you have any final questions, put them up in the chat. And just a quick reminder as well about the free resource. You can download it from the comment box as well. And it's just a free resource that you can use to help you form the best green team. So do we have any final questions? So in terms of your team, who was the hardest team member or department to get on board?
Oh, golly. I don't know. I think probably the restaurant team, and I'm going to say it with love, but in my case, maybe I think I'm going to read in between the lines there. Somebody might expect me to say kitchen, but that's not been our case. We've got, really kitchen seniors who really want to help and work on this. And again, we haven't completed by any means. We've got loads of other hurdles to sort of work through, but they're really segregating all the waste, obviously food waste, biggest emitter of methane, really important that we get that job done. And that, in our case, is sent off to create biogas and that sort of thing. But I think in the restaurant, they've got their department, if you like, touches such a wide footprint of the building, and to try and get everybody thinking in the right way and giving them the right resource, and and early and late, when they're working at midnight, sometimes it's like, oh, shortcuts, temptation, and I get that. So I think that's probably, you've really got to understand their jobs and their stretch and, the things that are going on, and trying to sort of facilitate it as much as you can.
Very good. And I think we have one final question. How did your executive chef embrace this with his or her team, and did it change their approach to menu planning? That's a good one.
Yes. So, well, our executive chef is all over this subject, and it just sort of, lucky for me, it just lives in his core. He's a young family man, and it's sort of really important to him. I think the whole food waste thing, when you start to study it, is a horrendous eye-opener for any business.
Yes.
I think you're doing lots of good things and what have you, but no. Lots. And I should say this. On Sunday, I was washing up, okay, because we're a little bit short, so I was in the back washing up, and I could see food coming up to the wash up in pans that simply was just waste. They hadn't put it in the bowl and sent it out for the guest. It was over. They were over portioning, and they were leaving it in the pan. Ergo, the pan was going to bin. And I was going like, it's just waste. Yeah, it's just waste. So I was taking pictures and I was showing chef, and he was saying, I didn't know what's going on. So now we just need to think about how we give them some little measure that it was, it just stacks up, even if it's just a cup or half a cup of peas or pasta or whatever, but it's really just waste. And it's the ethical thing about that, whether it's pennies or pounds, it's the ethical thing there. And of course, at a time like this, the business can't afford waste. So that's a big one. I think as manager, you need to get in and see what's happening. You need to lift the lid of the food bin and just go, really? And, there's so much. And there are lots of good initiatives out there where you can work with the community. There's this Olio body company who'll sort of collect meals that you can make up from wastes, and so you can make up lovely soups or vegetable curries or bits and pieces, and it will go out to the community. So there's things like that. Menu planning completely, we've moved away from so many sides. Or Sunday lunch was a big one. You'd send all the vegetables out in these sort of side dishes, and 50% would come back, and then of course that point it has to go in the bin. So we're plating it now and just saying, if you'd like any more, just let us know. And so it's that sort of thing. We always used Yorkshire puddings. We used to automatically put one on every plate, and it's a big volume. And so we just say to people, Yorkshire pudding, no Yorkshire pudding. And, it's sort of things, it just doesn't, it's not an issue, but most definitely all these things need to be considered. And yeah, trying to go a bit more plant forward. We're still working on it.
Sustainability is a lot about planning, isn't it? Like you have a huge planning stage. It's more the planning than the actual. Then once you have all those systems in place, it just all becomes so much easier, isn't it? But I love the fact that you were washing dishes at the weekend, Sue.
Probably shouldn't confess that, should I? Really, but yeah,
people wouldn't imagine that. But by doing so, that's how you identified that you still had a slight issue on food waste. So I think that's the eye opener, isn't it?
It's how you fine tune. It's all these little incremental sort of 1% here, 1% there, and how you therefore go forward. So
how is spending time in every department yourself, you can really identify where the issues are. I think that's just an amazing tip for all, not only general managers, but all heads of department. I remember myself as a head of department, and sometimes you get stuck in the office doing all the planning and all the thinking, and then you forget that we are in hospitality and we need to be in the floor to see more things, I guess. So,
yes.
They were great answers, Sue. I was so excited to bring you here today because I've been following your story and Whately Manor's story for a couple of years now, and I just think you guys are doing an amazing job. So we're going to wrap it up a little bit earlier than normal today. Next month, we are going to go live to talk about the circular economy, how one man's trash is another man's treasure, and I will be introducing the concept of the hotel yard. So stay tuned for that for the month of June. If you want to find out anything else about our hospitality programs, visit our website 50shadesgreener.ie. Any final comments, Sue, before we clock off today?
No, I just hope we can spark somebody's kind of step off the edge and get going. Just tell yourself this isn't optional anymore. And the sooner you get going, the more time you'll give yourself. Because this 2030 and 2050, well, forget it. Those timelines are coming forward. Some now are saying it's 2025. So either way, 25 to 30, this is the window we've got now to make an absolute key difference in our operations.
Brilliant. That's a great closing statement. Thank you so much, Sue, and thank you so much to all of our audience and from the whole 50 Shades Greener team. I will see you all again in June. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Sue.